Hello, and welcome to my full review of both nights of WrestleMania 39. Brace yourselves, it's going to be a long one.
Title of your sex tape.
And we'll get off to a shaky start. I thought on the Saturday, the America the Beautiful singer got off to a shaky start, but it turned out okay. I don't care about America the Beautiful. I don't think many people do, especially not at WrestleMania, where it's such an international audience, but, you know, what can you do? Then there was the cold open with Kevin Hart, and I put, they couldn't get The Rock, so they got his mate. It just felt a bit like that with you know, the whole, it was supposed to be The Rock this year, kind of fake rumors and what have you. Miz and Snoop, Miz, the host of WrestleMania, Snoop Dogg, the dog father the dog father of WrestleMania. They opened up. No Maurice. That's a shame. The segment we're doing better with Maurice in it. Nothing much to comment on. They just basically welcome people and then introduced the first match, which was Austin Theory defending the United States Championship against John Cena. And my first comment was, that's a big ramp. That stage was huge. Like, the ramp as well, it being elevated really accentuated how long and tall that ramp was. That was massive. Anyway, for John Cena's entrance, we got some classic WWE self-back patting for all the Make-A-Wish stuff. And I hope Cena's been doing his cardio to make it down that ramp, like, because he runs, and that was a hell of a run. Apparently this was Cena's 16th WrestleMania match, so he had, up until this past weekend, more World Championship reigns than WrestleMania matches, which strikes me as, yeah, there was a lot of flip-flopping, wasn't there? There was a lot of short and title reigns in amongst Cena's 16. I commented as well, well, I say I commented, I put in my notes that Cena's face looks weird. Like, maybe he's had quite a bit of Botox done, or he's got Just for Men on his hair and eyebrows. There was something around his, like, forehead, eyebrows, eyes area that didn't quite look right anymore, I would say. Yeah, just something I noticed. Anyway, on to the match. I'm not necessarily going to run play-by-play through all these matches, because it was like 8 hours worth of wrestling, so, you know, just go watch it. But yeah, the finish was basically, Cena had Theory up for an AA, the ref caught Theory's feet to the face, then Cena locked in an STF, got the visual tap, which is never a good sign that you're going to win the match, is it? Getting a visual win with the referee down. Theory hit a low blow, hit A-Town down, and got the 3, and retained the title, and I went 1 from 1 on predictions, so happy days. Yeah, this was the correct decision. Cena brutally buried Theory on the microphone in the lead up to this match, so he had to get the win, and it was cleanish. I mean, there was a low blow in there was a ref bump, there was a visual loss. You know, it wasn't a clean win, but it'll stand the test of time, I think, and it was a good decision, in my opinion. So yeah, Austin Theory retains, and I go 1 from 1. Up next was the men's showcase tag team match, fatal 4-way thing. It was Braun Strowman and Ricochet, the Viking Raiders with Valhalla, the Alpha Academy, and the Street Profits. There was no shenanigans with Maximum Male Models and Alpha Academy, which surprised me. I thought that story would play out at some point in this match. We got Titus O'Neil on commentary, and they mentioned a potential future tag title shot for the winners of this match. Why not just make that the stipulation? Like, why not just be like, yeah, the winners do get a future tag title shot? Like, it would have just made it a bit more stakesy. The rules of the match were there were 2 legal men and they could tag anyone from any team. Because sometimes you would have 4, and it's like 1 representative from each team. So they went with 2, which is interesting because I think on the same day, didn't NXT do a triple threat tag and they went with 3 legal men instead of 2. So yeah, interesting. Anyway, yeah, it's a fatal 4-way, so they pointed out on commentary there's no disqualifications. Yeah, everyone stands on the apron like good little troopers, good little Boy Scouts, and waits for tags and stuff to get involved when you can't be disqualified. Just play ball if there's no disqualification. You know what I mean? I did make a note of a couple of impressive moments and spots. Chad Gable deadlift roll through German suplex to Braun. You know the one where he puts him into the corner in a German suplex grip, does a backwards roly-poly with them, and then sort of slow Germans them over. He did that to Braun, very impressive. I feel like he's done it before to Braun or someone of similar size, but it's always impressive. Ivar did a moonsault that missed, and then Braun hit a splash off the top, which you don't see Braun Strowman go up to the top very often, so that was fun. There was a big Tower of Doom spot, because of course there was. It was a multi-man match. Titus O'Neil on commentary was actually quite enjoyable. I put in my notes. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that. And when they did the Tower of Doom spot, I think it was, he put holy, sugar, honey, iced tea, which take out the holy, like, as a separate thing, and then you need to take the initials to see what he was trying to get at there. But yeah, that was fun. It seemed quite off the cuff as well. Titus seems like a really presentable, like, fun dude. Like, and he came across that way on commentary, because commentary is so much more relaxed in this, you know, in this quote-unquote era of WWE. You all know what I'm referring to. And they were allowed to be more relaxed, and Titus just seemed to be having a good time, and he came across quite well, honestly. I enjoyed his commentary. Whether it's, you know, whether it'd great if there was too much of it, possibly, but as just like a featured spot, it was fine. Dawkins. And Angelo Dawkins absolutely wiped out Braun Strowman while he was doing his choo-choo thing, where he runs around and shoulder tackles everyone. Dawkins absolutely wiped him. That was really good. Then Ricochet did like a running the ropes shooting star press. That was obviously very impressive, but we all know what Ricochet is capable of, high-flyingness-wise. Then Ricochet got Dawkins back in the ring for a shooting star press, but Dawkins got his knees up. And then he kind of brought Ricochet back onto his knees. I think he was supposed to hold Ricochet on his knees, but they got back in position, and then Montez Ford hit a frog splash to Ricochet's back while he was still on Angelo Dawkins' knees, and then Dawkins rolled him up for the win for the Street Profits. And I went 2 from 2. This was a fun match. It was what it was. It's a bit of a spot fest, but that's what it was intended to be, and it was a fun one. You know, it wasn't some massive in-ring psychology match. It was just lots of fun, and that's absolutely fine. I did notice, because the weekend was like the official track of WrestleMania, wasn't it? But I noticed Kool and the Gang, Hollywood Swingin' being played. That's a proper Mania in Hollywood song. Like, that should have just been the official song. Who cares about being cool and up to date? Be cool and out of date instead. Okay, up next was Logan Paul and Seth Rollins. Logan Paul got a cool entrance, got the zip line, managed to make it into a heel thing by having a microphone and bragging about it, saying, I got a zip line for my birthday. Perfect way to make a cool WrestleMania entrance, but not even slightly get the fans on side. In fact, did the opposite, used it to generate more heat. Absolutely perfect. And he had a bottle of Prime mascot. And I wrote in my notes here, calling it now Prime, and then in brackets, Jake, ? As in Jake Paul, his brother. Distracts Rollins. Paul knocks Seth out with the punch, but then Seth kicks out. But we'll see if that prediction comes true, won't we? Anyway, but yeah, I made that prediction while the entrance was going on. Now, Seth got like a conductor for the crowd. It was kind of fun, I guess, but yeah. And I put Rollins wearing quite the gear. It was certainly interesting gear. I was sad he didn't wrestle in the body cage thing, like the old Jeff Jarrett body cage. He had one of them in pink. He should have wrestled in that. That shouldn't have just been entrance attire. He should have worn that for the match. Anyway, there was a very impressive moment where Logan Paul box jumped straight up to the top rope, like clean jumped onto the top rope for a moonsault, which Rollins moved out the way of. But that was super impressive athleticism. We shouldn't really be surprised at this point by Logan doing super impressive things like that, but, you know, we still always are. Then there was like a roll-up sequence until eventually, like exchanging roll-ups like you get in matches sometimes, you all know the one, until Logan Paul managed to deck Rollins with the right hand, but Rollins kicked out. I think previously Rollins had stomped on Logan Paul's hand on the ring steps on the outside, so Logan spent a while selling how much it hurt his hand, and that was sort of like the reason Rollins was able to kick out was how that was sold. Then the Prime guy, the bottle of Prime, pulled Logan Paul out of the way of a curb stomp, and he was unmasked, and it turned out it wasn't Jake Paul, it was KSI. And then, so they ganged up on Rollins somewhat and got him onto the announce table. Then KSI is taking like a selfie video thing with Seth Rollins while Logan Paul climbs up on the top rope to jump onto him. And then just at the last second, probably a little bit too early to be honest, but whatever, it was fun. So Logan Paul's taking a drink of his Prime, getting his heel heat from marketing his own drink on WrestleMania. Takes a drink of it, and then Seth pulls KSI onto the table, and Logan Paul jumps, doesn't look apparently before jumping, and just puts KSI through the table. Really good fun, like, just fun spot. Kudos to KSI for taking it. Kudos to Logan Paul once again for doing some crazy stuff. Back in the ring, Seth hit a pedigree, got a 2. Logan Paul hit a rubbish go to sleep. It looked rubbish, but it was a fun moment because obviously Seth said about not wanting Logan Paul or CM Punk in the locker room, like when he was sort of half working, half shooting. So fun little callback to that. There was a nice frog splash from Paul, another 2. Then he went for a coast to coast, which got countered with a super kick. Logan Paul can do all sorts of wild stuff. It's really good fun. But the super kick, then a stomp from Rollins, and then the 3. And I just thought it was a great, fun match. Again, not premium psychology. There was a bit, obviously. I'm not saying there was no psychology in this match, but it was mostly just like a showcase of what Logan Paul and Seth Rollins can do when putting together a wrestling match. And it was really good fun. And I predicted Seth to win, so I went 3 from 3, so I ain't complaining. Good booking so far, in my opinion, WWE, well done. It did make me laugh as well that long after the bell had rung and Rollins was like celebrating up the ramp, I think, at this point, Logan Paul went to check on KSI and he's still just out cold. he sold that for so long. Great stuff. He just lay there, like, amazing. Anyway, next match was Damage Control taking on Lita, Trish, and Becky. I will say, I think this was arguably the weakest moment of night 1 of WrestleMania Saturday, this match. It didn't quite strike home with me, if I'm being perfectly honest. And what did strike home with me was Trish Stratus'S attire. My goodness, she left very little to the imagination. And the commentators, by the way, said that this was Lita's first WrestleMania since 2002. That can't be right. Someone let me know in the comments that that's not right. 2002? 21 years since Lita was last involved in a WrestleMania. I just don't... Unless it... No, because she'd have been with Edge at points after that. Maybe it was a last WrestleMania match was what they were getting at. But I don't think they said that. I'm sure they just said it was a first WrestleMania since 2002. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you know the answer to that. Like I say, this match didn't resonate with me personally. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a little bit formulaic at times. But there was a nice super satisfaction to the outside on Dakota Kai. So basically, you had Bayley and Io down on the outside. Dakota Kai had somehow ended up sat on the top turnbuckle. And then Becky and Lita sort of assisted Trish to do the handstand onto the apron from the floor. And then wrapped her legs up like she does. And then flipped Dakota Kai onto Bayley and Io Sky. It was fun. Soon after that, Trish and Lita teamed up to do a poetry in motion, which might be the worst poetry in motion I've ever seen. Trish was way too close. Lita barely sprung off her, just sort of fell into a rubbish-looking forearm. Like, just don't do the spot if you can't do the spot. Like, it was rubbish. Io did a big moonsault onto the outside, onto everyone. It was beautiful. And the replay was like square on. And I put here in my notes, it was worth noting. It showed like the perfection, like the symmetry of the moonsault. She didn't go slightly over one shoulder. She was like perfectly going over like backwards. It was very impressive, especially on the replay. Lita's moonsault, however, always looks dangerous, but she hit it fine on both Io and Dakota Kai, I think. And then the finish was Becky Lynch hitting an avalanche manhandle slam to Bayley. So, like, off, I think, the second rope. She hit the manhandle slam and pinned Bayley. Which, Damage Control cannot catch a break. Especially Bayley since she came back. I feel like they just lose a lot of high-profile stuff, to be honest. But I thought it was a good match, but Lita in particular looked really rusty, which, you know, she shouldn't because she's been wrestling. She's a tag team champion at the moment, but she's also not full-time or anything. But yeah, I just thought Lita looked really off the pace. Trish held her own for the most part, but I think I expect more from Lita, so I think that might be why I perceived like that. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you got a similar vibe. But, you know, no hate to Lita. I like Lita, but I just think she just doesn't look as good as some returning legends look. And I think maybe it's because we're being spoiled by quality of, like, celebrity appearances, returning legends, etc. These days, they always put on a hell of a show. I'm thinking back to Stone Cold last year against Kevin Owens, gave us more than we were expecting. You know, like, so I think maybe she suffered by comparison. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. The next match was Dominic versus Rey Mysterio. Bad Bunny was on the Spanish announce team. Rare that you get to see a foreign language announce team get a special guest on commentary in WWE. So that stood out to me. Dominic got a special police entrance and he was in a Mysterio mask. It was just fantastic. It was so... This prison Dom stuff is like... It's elevated by how seriously they do it when it's ridiculous. I absolutely love it. I really do. Snoop drove Rey into the arena in a lowrider. Then we got Eddie's music for a bit, and then I put through the stage. No, just climbed up, I guess, because I thought they were gonna do the shoot him out the floor entrance. You know, going through the ramp. But I guess he just climbed up some stairs and came out the normal way or something. I missed how he got up there, but it definitely wasn't a big shoot out the stage, I don't think. And then there was just like a big Cinemoji thing. This match was sponsored by Cinemoji Crunch or whatever the cereal's called. It's Cinnamon Crunch, but they all look like emojis now. And then Rey had a Cinemoji nameplate, and the barricades and ring apron were all like Cinemoji Crunch stuff. And this is like a father and a son who have fallen out, and, you know, the father's finally been pushed to the point where he'll fight his son, and there's just smiling pieces of cinnamon cereal on a bright pink background all over the place, and it just does my head in. Like, I get there's money to be made in product placement and sponsorships and stuff, but pick your matches wisely, pick how you do the sponsor content wisely. Like, it's the same as the Mountain Dew match, isn't it, with Bray Wyatt and LA Knight? Like, same issue as that. I don't know if anyone else was just massively irritated by it, but it was supposed to be like an emotional story, and all I could see was just smiling pieces of cinnamon crunch. Like, and it just, I don't know, took me out of it a bit. At one point early in the match, Rey produced a belt, like a proper belt from somewhere, not a weightlifting belt or a championship belt, just like a belt, and whipped Dom with it. There's a very loud pop for some corporal punishment I put there. That's interesting, you know. Yay, beat your kids. Like, why did everyone pop for that? Why was that a babyface move? It was like, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, a bit later, Dom threw a drink in Aaliyah's face, which apparently that wasn't cool, though. Like, the fans didn't like that. I don't know. And again, I'm not going to, like, blow by blow, but one thing that did catch my attention, Dom hit Rey with, like, an alley-oop, where Rey went face first into the bottom turnbuckle. I don't know if that landed right or not, but it looked brutal. It looked like it might not have landed right, which, if it did land right, means it was perfect. If it didn't, then kudos to Rey for continuing, because he looked like he smacked his face really hard off that. But they carried on. Judgment Day got involved in the end, coming down to ringside. Finn Balor wearing his bandana around his face, just brilliant. Then Legado del Fantasma / the LWO, which I didn't even realize WWE had brought back. That's great. Legado and Rey are the LWO. I love it. So they came out to even the odds. Santos hit a suicide dive to Damian Priest, Santos Escobar, that he missed both announce tables and just sort of fell between them. I don't know if that was where he was supposed to go. I assume he was supposed to get knocked back and hit an announce table, but he just missed and just went between them. That was pretty funny. Anyway, Dom hit a 619 and frog splash, but only got a 2. So, little false finish there. Then remove the turnbuckle pad. Then gets a chain from Damian Priest's jacket. So we were thinking, oh, cheater finish. I was genuinely thinking Dom was going to cheat and win. Then Bad Bunny gets off the commentary table, off the commentary team, takes the chain from him. And then while he's looking at Bad Bunny like, what you doing? Rey hit a dropkick from behind, 619 frog splash, and won. So potentially setting up Bad Bunny versus Dom at Backlash, I put in my notes. It also potentially it could be a tag match with like Dom and Priest versus Bad Bunny and Rey or something. But Bad Bunny's already confirmed to be at Backlash as like the host, so why not give him a match? This was the first match I predicted wrong, actually. I thought Dom would win this one, but clearly it's not. It's not over yet, is it? So, but yeah, so I'm 4 out of 5 now. I'm still not mad about that. That's pretty good. But my first incorrect prediction came that deep into WrestleMania. I'm pretty pleased with that, if anything. Up next was Rhea Ripley challenging Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which let me know that the correct match has ended up being put on as the main event of Saturday, so I was pretty pleased about that. I have nothing against Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, just their build and their story didn't feel like a main event. It just didn't to me. They were on the poster. They're the face of WrestleMania Saturday. So I think that's fine. And that's probably more aesthetically pleasing than trying to shoehorn the entire tag match. Like 4 people onto it. So yeah, I think that's a good balance. Have them on the poster, but not on the main event. That's fine. Anyway. I put here, I'd not heard Charlotte's new theme before. I don't watch week to week. I just watch the pay-per-views, and she's not really had a lot of pay-per-view action in recent months. Or premium live events, sorry. I put, I've not heard Charlotte's new theme. It sucks. I just didn't like it. I prefer the old one. And I also put, Charlotte is such a bad face. Being a heel just comes naturally to it, and the fans really want Rhea here. Yeah, the booking decision to have Charlotte be the face in this one, or be our face in this one, was rubbish. And I know Rhea's with Judgment Day and supposed to be a heel and blah, 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 blah. But you could have just booked this as heel versus heel, because everyone must have known the fans were going to cheer Rhea when it actually came to the match. So having Charlotte be a heel there, and Rhea just also be a heel, who ends up getting cheered by the fans, would be absolutely fine in my opinion. I put it was a good match despite this. Good false finishes, and Rhea won with the Avalanche Riptide. I didn't take a lot of notes on this, and honestly, it was a weird one because I felt like it didn't live up to what I expected from it. But I think it was just my ADHD kicking in, because I actually got a message from a friend who was like, "Oh, Charlotte and Rhea brought it," and I was like, in my head, I was like, did they? So I've actually gone back and rewatched that match, and it was really good and really hard hitting. I just think, my brain just did a little wonder for most of this match. But yeah, I rewatched it and I really enjoyed the match. I still have no particular notes on it, but there was a good few sort of big spots throughout the match that really sort of piqued the action. But in between, there was just a lot of hard hitting, like back and forth. To like, if this was like a men match, you'd be like, it's two hosses fighting. They were just colliding, these two really strong, dominant women, just fighting and just trying to out fight the other one. It was, I don't know, just really enjoyed it. I can't really word it, but watching it second time, I'm glad I went back and watched it. I'm glad that friend messaged me about it, because I slept on this match first time through, so I'm glad I rewatched it. Anyway, Rhea won with the Avalanche Riptide, and I predicted Rhea to win, so that's 5 out of 6. After the match, Charlotte was like sitting at ringside, smiling and clapping, for Rhea. So it wasn't quite the the cliche, oh, shake your hand and have a hug after the match, but she was acknowledging that Rhea I think the character work there was like, yeah, no, you beat me. Like, you out-me'd me kind of thing in a way from Charlotte there. So, yeah, I like that. It was good detail. And it was clearly meant to be seen as well. It wasn't like Charlotte breaking character and being happy for Rhea, because they cut back to her doing it a few times. So if it was a mistake, it'd have only been once and it'd have been cut away from real quick. After that, we had Byron Saxton in a bright pink suit and bow tie, which, I mean, he can pull it off, to be fair to the man. He did an interview with Austin Theory that was very short and very arrogant. There we go, moving on. Up next, we had Miz and Snoop out to announce the attendance. 80,497 is WWE's official number. They're always debatable, these attendances, but that's apparently how many they're claiming. And then Miz and Snoop were talking about how the Miz wanted a match and issued an open challenge and blah, 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 blah. And then Pat McAfee came out and Michael Cole lost his shirt, as he usually does. About that, Pat McAfee led a lovely tiny balls chant at the Miz and basically baited him into doing the match. Snoop Dogg made it official, because apparently you can do that. And yeah, Miz had an impromptu match against Pat McAfee, which was reasonably short. Graves and Cole had a lot of fun with this on commentary, like Graves playing up the hating Pat McAfee thing, Cole playing up the loving Pat McAfee thing. It was just, they were just clearly just having a good time on commentary. This wasn't a serious match that mattered for anything, so they just, you know, had a lot of fun with it. At one point, Miz pushed George Kittle, who I put in brackets is from the 49ers. I think it's San Francisco 49ers. They're nearby, right? They're in California. He's a football player, but hand egg. That one. And then Kittle climbed over the barricade and clothesline Miz. I think McAfee did have the referee distracted. And then Pat McAfee hit like a punt kick to Miz's face, but not like a Randy Orton one where it's to like the side of the head. It's like Miz was bent over like he was ready to take a scissor kick, like a Booker T scissor kick, and Pat McAfee just kicked upwards into his face, and then pinned him. So yeah. And then McAfee and George Kittle celebrated, and just as it was fading to black at the end of the segment, Corey Graves said that they had the total combined IQ of less than your shoe size, which I just thought was a really funny line. He was just pooing all over this, you know, in character though. So that was a fun little. It was a good way to do a chill out bit for the fans while settling from the women's match before going on to the main event, you know, and not burning them out, because it's a long night at the end of the day. Each night's 4 hours, and a lot of high octane action, a lot of matches trying to steal the show and stuff. So you need these bits of downtime, in my opinion, and this works really well, in my opinion. I keep saying in my opinion. In my opinion, I keep saying in my opinion too much. Anyway, main event was the Usos defending the tag titles against Owens and Zayn, and I put this as the rightful main event, as I've already mentioned. Brilliant video package. WWE. No one in the world makes better video packages than WWE in any in any genre of entertainment. No TV show has better previously video packages than WWE's pay-per-view videos that recap the entire story leading up to the match. They're just so good. They very rarely miss. They usually knock it out of the park. Whether the story's been good or not, the video package usually is. Usually is good. Anyway, but this happens to have been an amazing story, one of the best that WWE have ever told, in my opinion. This entire Bloodline, Sami Zayn issue has just been fantastic. And then they ran a TurboTax sponsorship ad to and ran an ad to ruin it. I mean, just again, smart placement. That's all you need. I mean, I imagine they paid more to get the main event, but still. Anyway, then there was just a random concert from someone called Lil Uzi Vert. No idea who he is, but that's just me being out of touch, I think, rather than him not being famous. But he's from Philly, so do this next year. Or not at all, because no one goes to WrestleMania to see a concert. They should learn this lesson by now. Anyway, WWE gonna WWE, and it was really short because it just bled into the Usos entrance to the point where I thought he was gonna perform the Usos Down Since song, but he didn't. I don't know what the point of that was, but whatever. It was pretty random, unneeded. The Usos had lovely white gear on, though. I made a note. And then I realised, as Zayn and Owens were coming down to the ring, that Kevin Owens has main evented WrestleMania Saturday 2 years in a row, because he was the main event against Austin last year, wasn't he? So that's fun and well deserved. I love Kevin Owens. He's one of my favourite professional wrestlers on the planet and has been for years. Absolutely can't sing his praises highly enough, in my opinion. How he's not an absolute megastar with multiple long world title reigns, I don't understand, because he's amazing on the mic. He does amazing character work. He can do comedy. He can do serious. He's a great wrestler. He's got great moves, but he's also got great psychology. He's just, to me, the absolute complete package. Except he's not a big muscle man, you know. And if that's the only thing that's holding him back, then shame on you, WWE, because he's absolutely perfect for the main event spot. Anyway, and speaking, and he's really good at getting over as a heel or a face as well. He can flip-flop, he can play either role, he can wrestle pretty much anyone. So good. Also so good, Sami Zayn. Insanely over at the moment. Well deserved. Just great talent, both of them. But I have a particular soft spot and fondness for Kevin Owens. Anyway, also, wasn't this the first tag team main event match in WrestleMania history since WrestleMania 1? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure tag team matches haven't main evented WrestleMania since WrestleMania 1. Like, you can argue this isn't the main event because it's only Saturday's main event and Sunday's main event is the big one. But it's still a main event of a show called WrestleMania. And it was a tag team match, player. Teddy Long would be proud. Anyway, they started with Sammy and Jay, which is perfect. There was an El Generico reference on commentary. I think it might have been Michael Cole, and then Corey Graves might have said something along the lines of "that would have got you fired in the past" or something like that, which really tickled me. Like, I love the little digs at the old regime on commentary sometimes. Makes you wonder how unhappy it really was, like, you know, to work under that guy sometimes, you know, like, because everyone has so much fun now, it seems. Anyway, I don't know how new this is, but it was new to me, but I'm just not that observant sometimes. Jay seems to have new ink, a new tattoo down his left side. It's like a palm tree and stuff coming up from like his belt line. And it connects up to the left sleeve. Looked pretty nice. I just noticed that, so I thought I'd comment. I put that Zayn is a great babyface in peril. It just really is. The Usos double spine busted. I think Owens from the Spanish announce table through the English announce table. And then someone, I think maybe Sammy, kicked out of a 1D, which was bigged up as being the first time that's ever happened. They've only just started using it a few months ago, to be fair, but still, it's still the first time. And Jay hit a haluva kick on Sami Zayn, did some trash talk, and then Zayn fired back with an exploder into the corner, and then got the hot tag to Owens. He hit pop-up powerbombs to everyone. Then Zayn hit a haluva kick on Jimmy, I think, and then Owens hit a stunner on Jay, but Jay kicked out, which I love to see, because usually tag matches have pins broken up a lot. You know, when it's for the false finish. But to actually get to see tag team wrestlers kick out of finishes is good. I like it. Then there was a big brawl. Where I think Kevin Owens screamed at Sami Zayn, "Let's end it," and then they started brawling with the Usos. Usos hit double super kicks, double Uso splash to Owens. Owens kicked out. There was a lot of chatter at one point, Owens chatting away to Jay about what they were going to do next, and it was like, the camera was like right in his face, which I thought was funny. A rare mistake by Mr. Kevin Owens. I'll forgive you, sir. There was an avalanche 1D. That was it, attempt on Kevin Owens, I think, you know, like off the corner. But Sammy interrupted it, and then Owens, I've not seen him do this in ages, I don't think. He was sat on the top turnbuckle, but he hit a superplex where he sort of spun it 180 to land in the ring. Always really fun move. He hit that on Jay, tagged in Sammy, who hit two haluva kicks on Jay, but kept catching him so he'd like not fall flat. Sammy caught him like and held him up and then put him back in the corner and hit a second one. Then he caught him again. Then Jimmy came in. Owens hit him with a stunner, and then Zayn hit a third haluva kick and pinned Jay. Great way to finish the match. Great match. Really good tag match. Tag team wrestling is phenomenal when it's done right. It's probably better than singles wrestling, honestly. And I really enjoyed this. It was just, yeah, great. Start to finish, great storytelling, great action. Great story build-up, deserved to be the main event, in my opinion. And I went 6 from 7 on predictions. By the way, obviously I didn't predict Miz versus Pat McAfee. If you'd have asked me as McAfee was coming out, I'd have been like, obviously McAfee's winning. But I'm not going to count that as a prediction, like a positive or a negative. I just didn't predict it because it wasn't announced. So, yeah, I went 6 from 7. There was 8 matches officially, but like I say, one of them was unannounced. So I went 6 from 7. And I put that this was a really good show with very few weaknesses. I think the women's 6 woman tag was the weakest match on the card. But I also think maybe that was slightly by design in that, the crowd needs some respite, doesn't it? So, yeah. So that's my thoughts on WrestleMania Saturday. Now, on to WrestleMania Sunday. So we kicked off Sunday with yet another rendition of America the Beautiful. I mean, as I mentioned at the start of the review, this is the biggest international audience you have on American soil, without actually going abroad for the show. Maybe just stop doing all the America stuff on WrestleMania. It just, doesn't matter to a big portion of your audience. But whatever. I would say one thing that, because they talked up, I think both of them being from Hollywood, but they're both like multiple time Grammy winners and, multiple platinum records and all that stuff. Maybe give the opportunity to like someone a little less known. I'm not saying go and drag someone out of a bar performing in front of 3 people, but someone who could do with being leveled up. You'd have to pay them less. I don't believe for a second that either of those performances drew in a single viewer, so it doesn't really matter if you use a smaller name. And elevate someone. That'd be a cool feature. Or use Hollywood Undead. Imagine their version of America the Beautiful. I'd be here for it. And they're obviously from Hollywood or LA. Anywho, Miz and Snoop opened again. My notes literally say Miz and Snoop, fine. Like, it was fine. It wasn't anything significant. We kicked off with an interesting opener for the second night. Omos versus Brock. And I put maybe Brock just wanted to go home. But, I mean, I'm recording this after Raw, so apparently not. But maybe he just wanted to go back to his hotel and chill. Like, I think Brock has it maybe even in his contract that he's either on first or last. I don't recall the last time Brock was not first or last on a show. Like, maybe it's happened. Like, maybe I'm wrong. But, well, actually, it was in the Rumble, wasn't it? And that wasn't last. But generally speaking, in a normal match, in a singles match, Brock is on first or last. Anyway. Yep, Brock playing the babyface in Peril was honestly fascinating. He was actually pretty good at it for someone who does not get to use that particular skill set very often because he's Brock Lesnar. But yeah, he sold pretty well for Omos. And I put, considering no one wanted the match, the crowd was really into it, and it was honestly pretty good. I enjoyed this match for what it was. Like, it's not a, 7-star in the Tokyo Dome classic, but for what it was, I thought it was pretty well executed. Lesnar obviously won with the F5, and I went 1 from 1 on night 2, and 7 from 8 overall. I'm doing pretty well with these predictions, eh? Well, isn't that about to change? I don't normally talk about like the stupid adverts like in any detail, but Big E and Xavier Woods were in a Snickers advert next, and it was silly, but I smiled when I saw Big E. I was like, it's good that he's still like involved, he's still around, he's getting a payday even if he can't, like we don't know what his situation is, whether he'll be able to wrestle again, whether he'll want to wrestle again, but it was just good to see him. Up next was the women's showcase tag match, and that was the well-established teams of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi and Natalya, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, and the actually semi-established team of Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. Rousey forgot her pants, by the way. They both came out in their gis, but Rousey forgot her pants. Silly Ronda. They're in the gis, and she's a silly goose for forgetting her pants. Anyway, Liv and Raquel had matching gear. Natalya came out with a Shotzi helmet on. And then Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville were just, like, not matching at all. Like, almost intentionally opposite, I think, maybe. And again, there was talk on commentary of a potential shot at the women's tag titles in the future. Just, like I said with the men, just make it a stipulation. You should just made it for that. It would have been way better. Anyway, so the format was the same as the men's match. 2 legal participants at a time. There was a cool spot where Raquel powerbombed her own partner Liv onto everyone at ringside. Natty and Shotzi did a heart attack, which Michael Cole dubbed a double team. That's the quote. I think Corey Graves immediately corrected him and was like, that's a heart attack, because like, obviously it was paying homage to Natalya's heritage and like her dad and his tag team with Brett and yeah, and he was just like, oh look, a double team. No, not a double team. Whatever. I put, oh no, the double sharpshooter has never looked good. It hasn't. It's never looked good. I don't know why that's still a thing that she does. So the end of the match came it was quite nice actually. So Liv went to hit the Oblivion on Shotzi, and Shayna like tagged herself in off Liv as she did the rope rebound bit, because it was near their corner, and then she tagged Ronda in. Ronda applied the armbar, and Shotzi tapped. I put it's great heel work by Ronda and Shayna because they did like basically nothing in the match and then just stole the win. But I also think maybe, you know, Ronda's still sort of carrying an injury. Maybe not one that completely wipes her out, but like minimal involvement, like, because it absolutely was, wasn't it? But I predicted them to win. They were the obvious winners in my opinion, and went from 2 from 2 on Sunday and 8 from 9 overall. Next, we had a weird little bit where they replayed the Andre Battle Royal, like the highlights, which Lashley won. And then he came out onto the stage carrying the trophy in a suit. And I just put, it's not just to compete, but at least it's on the show, I guess. Then there was a backstage bit where apparently 2K simmed the triple threat match for the IC title 100 times. And I was like, I need to step my game up on EBEZAsimsgames. I only do 1 match simulation per match. And in fact, for WrestleMania, I did none because I ran out of time. But yeah, I was like, I need to step my game up. We're going to sim these things 100 times per match. But they only did 1 match, so anyway. Titus O'Neil was on guest commentary for the triple threat, the IC title match. He got a promotion. He must have... I enjoyed him on Saturday, and clearly backstage did as well, because he got promoted from doing the other Fatal 4-Way showcase match to an actual, like, important match on the card. So good for him. Definitely a promotion. Like, that was fairly transparent, right? So yeah, the next match was Drew versus Sheamus versus Gunther for the IC title. My first note on this was that when Drew came out, his white kilt at first glance looked like Val Venus's towel from his entrances. Oh, and they did this whole thing. There was like an advert before with Drew and Sheamus and advertising mics and how it goes hard and the clashing cans together and stuff. I assumed it was a beer. It's lemonade. Since when does lemonade go hard? What the hell is... Never mind. Or goes hard or whatever. Yeah, another weirdly sponsored match, but this one didn't ruin the vibe, I don't think, as much as like the Rey Dominic one did. Anyway, I had to re-watch my predictions video to remember who I'd predicted, because it was so close to call, 50-50 between Gunther and Sheamus. Turns out I picked Gunther, so that was... I actually put in my notes here, feel like it was wrong, let's see. So this was before I'd watched the match. I re-watched my predictions video to find that prediction. Heard myself say Gunther and thought, oh no, Sheamus is winning this. So, but stand by my prediction, I'm not changing it. Anyway, Titus shouting, call the police pretty much every time Gunther chops someone was really funny, but I thought wrestling fans have called the police over less stupid things, like, or over more stupid things. Like, maybe don't say that repeatedly on commentary, because someone might be like, yeah, hey, hello police, yeah, there's been a crime in Hollywood, someone's slapping someone in the chest. Titus O'Neil told me to call you. I wonder if they got any calls at all. So there's a fun moment in this match. I mean, the start was fun with Drew Claymoring Gunther and then being like, right, we can deal with this now, to Sheamus. It reminded me in a different way of Shawn Michaels superkicking Triple H in the triple threat with John Cena, except that was him taking his own partner out and wanting to fight his opponent. This was Drew taking out the opponent, the common enemy, and being like, right, now we can settle this to like his friend-ish. Anyway, there was a fun double team moment where Sheamus was on the apron and had Gunther for the sort of reverse 10 beats where Gunther was in the ring, but still tied up in the ropes. And then they sort of alternated between Sheamus and hitting a beat and then Drew hitting a knife edge chop. I have noticed something. I'm going to call someone out for this here. Gunther, he loves throwing them chops, doesn't he? Has anyone noticed he doesn't like taking them? He doesn't half like close his body up to minimize, I assume, the the impact of them when he's taking chops from someone who can throw them back. I can't remember who I originally noticed it against. It might have been the Clash at the Castle match with Sheamus, how he shied away from the 10 beats. But when Drew was throwing some chops, there were definitely moments where Gunther did not seem keen on taking them. Now, you could argue it's the same as, like, why don't wrestlers put their hands up when they're about to get punched in the face? Like, he should be closing up and trying to protect himself. But, I don't know. Drew and Sheamus were sticking their whole chest out when Gunther went to hit them. Like, they were taking it like champs. Whereas Gunther was shying away a little bit from some of the hard hits. So there was a couple of moments in this match. Drew broke up a cloverleaf that Sheamus had on Gunther. He broke up a pin out of a brogue kick that Sheamus had on Gunther. By the way, that spot where they have to put the legs in a certain position to get dragged out, it's always so obvious. You've been doing this for over a decade. You should just be able to float into a pin where you stick your legs the right way. Yeah, so there was, my point was, there was a couple of moments where Drew cost Sheamus the win, and at that point I started to feel confident in my prediction, because there was no way Drew was winning this. It was Gunther or Sheamus, and Sheamus being denied a couple of times by Drew made the story of the match quite clear to me, that Sheamus wasn't then going to end up winning in the end. Drew did a tope con hilo, I think that's what it's called. The one where they do a front flip over the top rope without touching it. And Michael Cole on commentary went, "You've never done that to Titus," and Titus just responded with, "And I never will." And I just found that really funny, and I just want to say I really enjoyed Titus on commentary in this as well. The only thing I would say is he's not got the knack for not talking over the other commentators. Like, there was a lot of clashing during this match, whereas there isn't so much. People seem to know when to go and when to stop because they're regular commentators. But, you know, that would come with practice if they decided to add Titus to the announce team at some point in the future. I'd be down for it. It was a good time. Drew kicked out of a brogue kick. Sheamus kicked out of a claymore. And then I think it was another brogue kick. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm doing this off memory. Where Sheamus was about to pin Drew, and then Gunther came off the top rope with a splash onto both of them. Then he powerbombed Sheamus onto Drew. Then he powerbombed Drew and pinned Drew to retain. It was a great match. Just like the Gunther-Sheamus match at Clash at the Castle, it was just an absolute banger. Like, I don't know what else people were expecting. In fact, I do. Everyone was expecting it to be a banger. Everyone said it. And it was. Really good match. And 3 from 3 on predictions on Sunday. 9 out of 10 overall. This is going well, right? Anyway, up next, Asuka challenging Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. And again, I was back and forth on the predictions on this. I think I went with Asuka in the end. Mistakes were made. Anyway, the entrances, there was many Askas. Well, many people in Asuka masks. And then Bianca had dancers and a contortionist kid. Now, I heard somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, and I hope it is because I'm putting it out there, and I don't want to be sending out bad info like this. But I heard somewhere that contortionist kid, her mum died like that morning or something, and she still performed. If this is true, this is like amazing, like for a little kid like that to muster up the courage to still perform because she didn't want to miss out on the opportunity, and like, just fair play. Just absolute fair play to that kid if that story is true. If it's not, then whoever made it up and put it out there on the internet, screw you. But I definitely saw or heard it somewhere. I can't recall. So the finish, I didn't take a lot of notes in this one. It's fine. Watch the show if you want play-by-play and you want to see all the stuff that happens. But the finish came when Bianca had Asuka up for like a KOD attempt. Asuka grabbed the ropes, and then when Bianca pulled her away from the ropes, she, like, sort of bumped the ref, but not enough to, like, knock the ref down. I don't think the female refs can actually, like, properly bump. Like, I think it's part of the rules or something, because I don't think I've ever seen one of them actually get laid out, like the male refs sometimes do. But then Asuka went for the mist, but Bianca ducked it, and I think then went for the braid hit, and Asuka ducked it. And then Asuka ended up, like, going for an armbar onto Bianca, which Bianca powered out of into a KOD for the 3. And I put in the notes I knew I'd got that wrong. Yeah, I think, again, because I couldn't remember, I think I did watch it back and was like, oh, why have I predicted Asuka? Like, But I thought that with Gunther and Sheamus, and I was wrong to doubt myself. But then this time I was right to doubt myself. But the prediction stands. I predicted Asuka. I was wrong. So that's my first wrong on a Sunday, on WrestleMania Sunday. 3 out of 4, 9 out of 11 overall. Still pretty good ratio, right? Pretty good percentages. Up next, we had Miz and Snoop to announce the attendance. 81,395. Now, that's more than Saturday, and Saturday was apparently sold out. If it's sold out, if you have sold every ticket, and then the next night is in the same place, how are there more people? Whatever. WWE logic. And they also gave the 2-night total 161,892. No, there have not been 161,892 people. There have been roughly 81,395, because I doubt there was many people in that crowd on Sunday that weren't in the crowd on Saturday. Like, the crossover, if it's less than 75,000, I will eat a hat. Like, honestly, I'd expect it to be pretty much everyone. Like 99+%, I would expect that to be. So that's nonsense. So I put Shane, poor Miz, because Miz picked like a fight with Snoop Dogg, saying, "Why did you do that to me? You know, put me in an impromptu match, and I was in an expensive suit and blah blah blah." So Snoop was like, "Oh, you want to go again? Oh, I got my bad." He said my bad, and then he was like, "When I say my bad, I mean my bad," and points up the ramp like that means something. And then Shane McMahon's music hit, so I put Shane and then poor Miz laughing face, because obviously the writing's on the wall there. Miz is losing on both shows. So yeah, Shane danced down to the ring. They started off, and then Shane immediately came down wrong on his knee. Snoop Dogg got in the ring, threw the worst worked punch I think I've ever seen in the history of anything ever, then threw a better one, and then did a people's elbow. And do you know, I want to give my friend credit again. I'm going to shout you out again. So I took a little break between recording my review of Saturday and Sunday, just because I had stuff to do in between, so time permitting. And I actually sent them a message saying, "Oh, I've mentioned you, not by name, but I've mentioned you in my review. I'm mentioning you again because I thought Snoop Dogg had done some incredible improv work here to get in the ring when no one knows what's going on and what to do, and starting throwing hands and then throwing a people's elbow and pinning the Miz. I was like, that's incredible." But my friend reliably informs me that you could clearly hear the referee like 3 times tell Snoop to go for a people's elbow. So I obviously just missed that. I obviously wasn't paying that close attention to this segment. So yeah. Welcome back, Shane. Up next was Edge versus Finn Balor. In the Hell in a Cell. Well, Demon Balor. There was some weird ad timing, but I think it might have been like an edit made, and because I didn't watch this live, so I think it might have been an edit that was made on the network, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, because it seemed as if it was just when an entrance was starting, but then people were talking about how the intro rolled into the ad, and whether it was my network skipping or an edit being made, it really didn't on my screen. Anyway, so I put Silver Cell is greater than Red Cell. Everyone knows that to be true. I found the Brood Edge thing to be cringe. Like, not referencing Brood Edge, but calling it Brood Edge on the little video board, that was cringe. You know what else was cringe? Apart from coming up through the ramp, what about that was the Brood? So there was rumours of Gangrel being around. He wasn't there. They didn't use the Brood music, they used Slayer. When did the Brood ever use Slayer? And they had a weird, like, mirror skull mask thing on. When did the Brood ever wear them? He didn't have a white shirt on, a white puffy shirt, which, okay, Edge didn't wear a puffy shirt when he was in the Brood anyway. It was just Christian and Gangrel that did. But he didn't wear that. They didn't use the music. They didn't feature Gangrel. They didn't get Christian in somehow. Like, nothing about this was Broody apart from the fact that he came up through the floor. I don't know. It was just kind of rubbish. It was just kind of rubbish, wasn't it? And then it went into, like, his normal entrance anyway. Then Balor came out, demoned up. He had a spiky mohawk helmet thing on, and was purple and red, because obviously purple and black is like the Judgment Day colors, and red and black is the demon colors. So this one was purple, red, and black. So that was pretty cool. Now, you know how the red cell is super lame. You know what else is lame? Red chairs, purple tables, red and purple kendo stick. It's all so lame. We get it. One of them likes red and one of them likes purple. I get it. They don't have to have their own designated weapons. Like, it's just dumb. It's just so dumb. I mean, not gonna lie, I'd love a purple kendo stick. That looked cool. I like a kendo stick. I used to do martial arts, and I always liked the kendo stick. And purple's my favorite color, so I wouldn't mind owning a purple kendo stick. But it looked lame in the context of the match. Anywho, so we had the increasingly common spot where someone traps someone in the corner of the cell with kendo sticks. Edge trapped Balor and then did like a drop kick off the apron. He also hit him with a chair early in the match, and Balor was like complete no-selling a load of stuff, which was fun. Bigging up the demon. Yeah, there was a purple table, roll eyes emoji. Finn shotgun drop kicked Edge through that table, which was fun, like leaned up against the cell wall on the outside. And then I put, oh look, black chairs, like normal coloured folding chairs. And there was normal coloured kendo sticks at one point as well. That was fun. Edge hit a kill switch. He also hit an execution, which I saw someone refer to as him hitting an impaler because he was referencing Gangrel and Christian. The only issue is Edge always used an impaler DDT anyway. It was called the execution. So, yeah, I guess it was kind of a reference to Gangrel. But the impaler, not the impaler, the kill switch / Unprettier, that was definitely a shout out to Christian, right? And I've put Edge through, and then in brackets, silver ladder at Balor, and there was blood, because when you watch the replay, Balor ate that ladder. Have you seen the picture he put on whatever social media it was of the split down his head that they stapled shut mid-match and just then he carried on? Like, people were booing the fact that he was getting medical attention. Half his head was split open. What is wrong with people? It's 2023. Right, I'm not being funny. Chris Benoit happened. Other people have suffered severe consequences. Not that severe, admittedly, but severe consequences of concussions and injuries from wrestling being a tough boys sport where you just power through no matter what happens to you. Just get over it, fans. If someone goes a bit wrong and someone has to have their head stapled together, let them. Like, the fact that he went off to the side, got his head stapled together, and then finished the match, and you're booing that as not tough enough. Shut up. Like, absolutely shut up. What a bunch of idiots. Like, who's in 2023, who's booing them taking care of the safety of the wrestlers? I absolutely hate it. I get it's Hell in a Cell, and Hell in a Cell is holy and must not be messed with, and, you know, you should be willing to just die inside Hell in a Cell rather than look after your own health and well-being. Oh, it's so dumb. I get that Hell in a Cell is supposed to be like this brutal thing, but when it goes wrong, whether there's a big fancy cage around the ring or not. Like, oh, if it had broke his leg, would they have just booed? If you know, like, he's there with two knees on one leg and his bottom half of his shin flopping about, and they're like, oh, you should continue the match though because it's Hell in a Cell. Like, where'd you draw the line? It's so stupid. And why do people draw the line at the head? Like, that's one of the worst things to injure, because that can mess up your, like, yeah, you break your leg and it's terrible, and then you get it reset and it fixes, and 9 times out of 10, it's okay afterwards. You mess up your head and too much concussion and stuff. Oh, right, I'm going to stop ranting about this, but fans, shut up. If you're one of the fans who was there live and booed them giving medical attention to a human being who had split his entire head open, entertaining you, just pack it in. Never go to a wrestling show again. You're an idiot. Right, one thing I didn't like, now that I've had that rant, now I am going to go on about the sanctimony of Hell in a Cell. Finn Balor, Demon Finn Balor, the evil alter ego of Finn Balor, in a Hell in a Cell match against his heated rival, went for 2 roll-ups. He did an inside package, a small package, an inside cradle, whatever you want to call it, and he did a schoolboy. Why? Why was he trying to win with a roll-up? Would that have been satisfying if he'd have actually... Like, we're supposed to take a roll-up as an attempt to win the match by pinfall, right? Not just a transitional spot in a match. Within the law, within the kayfabe of wrestling, you're trying to win a match with a roll-up. Why is Balor trying to win like that? He wouldn't have been satisfied if he'd have got the win like that. That'd have been stupid. There was there an ad in the middle of the match or something? I've put in the middle of my review here, fans booing during the Pope's Exorcist ad. Was it on the big screen? Oh, I think it was just like at the bottom. It was like one of those, this match is brought to you by the Pope's Exorcist, and they waffled over it a bit. But like, was that on the big screens? Because the fans were booing, and this was after Finn Balor had been patched up and the match was continuing. They were just both lying down, like selling. So, I don't know. Maybe they were booing the ads. I don't know. So Balor hit a coup de grace, got a 2. It was too early in the match, honestly. I don't think anyone bought that was the finish. Then Edge hit an execution off a ladder. Finn Balor was like stood on the top rope, and Edge was halfway up the ladder and did an execution off it. It was kind of cool. That got a 2. It sounded like Cole said, and Matt Damon kicks out. He obviously said, and the demon kicks out, but it just sounded like Matt Damon to me, and that tickled me. They brought out a brown table. What's up with that? They're supposed to be purple and red, aren't they? Then Finn Balor put Edge on the table, and then climbed up to a conveniently placed platform on the wall of the cell, and did a coup de grace off that to the table. Edge moved, so Finn Balor just went feet first to the table, which is shaky ground to be landing on, because it's giving way and going at like a weird angle. Could easily like damage an ankle or ligaments in your knee or anything with that, but he seemed fine after it. Then Edge hit a spear for 2, and then Edge beat him down with a chair a bit, and then hit a concerto and got a 3. And I put that was a weird choice. I predicted Balor to win. I don't see what we gained from Edge winning that match. In general. And the match felt a bit underwhelming, and I did put, I wonder if some stuff was cut because of the blood. Like, I wonder if they went to the finish a little earlier because Finn was feeling a bit woozy or something. There's a couple of things that didn't sit right. One is the match felt a bit underwhelming and a bit short, and not just short time-wise, short on content. Like, it felt a bit like it was over before it had really got into that high gear. And I do wonder if that's because of the ladder blood situation, which is fine if it was. I'm just saying that's how it came across. The other thing is how damn long it was between the end of that, the bell ringing for the end of that match, and the bell ringing for the start of the next match. I get WWE likes to pad out these shows, but this was ridiculous. There's no way all of that was planned, right? Anyway, so I predicted Finn to win that, so I'm now on 3 out of 5 for the evening, so it's getting worse, and 9 out of 12 overall. They went into a montage of, the different movie trailer parodies that they do. Honestly, I'd rather they just have shown them all back to back, like, one after another, so I got to experience each one, because I've not seen them all, because I don't watch the weekly show. Instead, it was sort of cutting back and forth from different one to different one, like a little montage thing. Then there was an interview backstage with Bianca Belair. Was it Kayla Braxton doing it? I think it was. She was weirdly stumbly, I put. She was like stumbling over her words, and I don't know, it was... Maybe she was just kind of thrown in there. Now that I think about the fact that Hell in a Cell went shorter and then immediately move on to this, maybe it was just like, oh, go fill like 2 or 3 minutes, just, help us out while we put something together. I don't know, maybe something like that. Not got a clue. But it just felt really unscripted, but not in a good way. I don't know. Then the dancer kids and the contortionist kid. I think the contortionist kid was there. They came in for the shot and did an EST chant for her, and everyone was happy. Next we had the Hall of Fame highlights package that they usually do, and then brought them out to the stage like they usually do. Stacy's dress, oh my god! Speaking of oh my god, what the hell was that weird tracksuit, Adidas, Gucci thing Rey was wearing? Like, it just looked tacky, honestly, if you ask me. It really did. Looked really tacky. Looked like a chav going to court and got an Adidas tracksuit made because, like, God forbid they wear something other than a tracksuit. I don't know. It just looked rubbish, honestly. But hey ho, what do I know? What do I know about fashion? People are all like, no, that's really cool. And I'm like, okay, come back and tell me in 5 years when you look back, it still looked cool. Like, once we've grown out of that particular fashion thing. Like, it's just going to look rubbish, innit? Anyway, main event was Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the Uwu title, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Did Cody Rhodes' music get introduced with WrestleMania has more than one royal family? I thought I heard that instead of wrestling has more than one, but I thought, I wonder if they did re-record that specifically for WrestleMania, or if I just, like, didn't quite hear it, you know, I was ADHDing off somewhere and just came back, was like, did they just say that? But I never went back and double checked. So let me know in the comments. The whoa on his music was huge. Cody was so over here. We'll get to why that matters, but oh my god. Brandy and Liberty were at ringside. The rest of the family were at ringside. -1 got his weight belt. He was at ringside. Brody Lee, Luke Harper's son. Like, oh my god, this was Cody's night. This was Cody's moment. Woo, wow, okay. It was a huge fight feel to this, honestly. Like, while Reigns got like a piano, multiple people playing the piano special entrance, it was cool, but I'm not going to talk about it too much because it just was some people playing piano. But I liked the fact that while they were rattling off all the people Reigns had beaten, they included Bryan and Cesaro, which I didn't know if they certainly wouldn't have done back in the olden days, would they? So thank you, Papa H. Reigns was loving the atmosphere, wasn't he? Like, I don't even know if that moment talking on the mic was planned or improvised because of how rabid the crowd was, but just doing the acknowledging thing and the big grin on his face, like, while he did it. Now, let me mention something, a little statistic. If I told you that something was 38 minutes and 40 seconds long, what would you think that was? Because what it actually was the time between the bell to end the Hell in a Cell match and the opening bell of this match, which were next to each other on the card. There was no match in between. 38 minutes and 40 seconds. That's another reason why I feel like maybe the Cell match was cut a bit short because of what happened to Finn. Because there's no way that was always the plan. Nearly 40 minutes between matches. Like, granted, you've got entrances in there, which is a long ramp, and you've got, you know, the celebration of the win and stuff. But 40 minutes, come on. Anyway, right, so early in the match, Solo Sikoa kept getting involved in the match. That was kind of the story, was Solo getting involved at every opportunity. Cody backdropped Roman Reigns through an announce table, like off one through the other. That was a fun spot. But then when they're back in the ring, Solo must have gone and stolen the weight belt off -1. What a nice guy. And he hit Cody in the back with it. The referee had ears. I've lost count of the number of times that someone's been like smacked with a chair and it's made like this almighty crack. And because the referee's had his back to the action, he's been like oblivious when he's turned around to what's happened. But this referee had ears. He heard the weight belt and he ejected Solo for it. So, they were building everything. Cody, Rumble winner, so over, world's loudest whoa. His entire family at ringside, including his daughter, like that he had to solve racism. Like, remember that? And like -1's there to receive the weight belt and have his moment. And this was so Cody's night. Beautiful. So Roman tried to get the weight belt. Sorry, I'm just going to keep coming back to that. Roman grabbed the weight belt. Referee fought him for it, like they had a little tug of war. Roman won it because he's a bit stronger than the referee, I'd imagine. But turned around into a super kick and then a crossroads, which got a 2. Reigns a little bit later, Yorinage, that got a 2. Cody hit a pedigree, that got a 2. Cody went for a disaster kick, and off the rebound, Reigns punched him out the air with a Superman punch. That was a cool little counter. That got a 2. A spear, that got a 2. Reigns put the guillotine on. Cody survived the arm check. His arm didn't drop. He tensed it up. And then Reigns jumped up and hooked in the legs and dropped down to the mat for the full guillotine. And then Cody just broke his head out. He just pulled his head out like, nope. And they made a big deal on commentary about that being the first time that had happened. And I think they're right. I don't recall anyone breaking the guillotine, like, other than with, like, a rope break. So yeah, that was a cool moment. I put kicks ref, breaks his head out, then kicks the ref like it was deliberate. No, he went for like a pump kick on Reigns. He kicked the referee in like the top of his thigh. It seemed like by the time he reached the ref, his leg was right down, but the referee sold it like a champ anyway. Then there was a Superman punch from Reigns, but then Cody bounced off the ropes at a clothesline. They're both down. Cody eventually gets back to his feet, sets up a crossroads, and then bam, double super kick from the Usos. They hit a 1D. Then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens bothered showing up. Chased off beat the Usos out of the ring. Stunner to Reigns. Haluva kick to Reigns. Sami slipped delivering the Haluva kick. Ended up falling over because his standing legs slipped out from under him. And then the Usos came back in and the two tag teams brawled away. So, you know, everyone's been hit with every finisher under the sun except each other's. Well, including each other's actually at this point. Rest back to his feet. Cody drapes his arm across, and we get the long 1, 2, and Reigns kicked out. And god damn it, Reigns. There was a replay of a guy, and he cut away as he went, "What the fuck?" And it just cut, like, because you could read his lips clear as day, like a replay of Reigns kicking out, and then that. They did the yay boo punches. I don't know why I'm doing so much play-by-play on this match, but you know what, I am anyway. Cody dodged a Superman punch and then did his Dusty Punches combo, finishing off with a bionic elbow. Lovely stuff. Hit 2 crossroads, like did the crossroads and maintained the neck grip, and then pulled him back up, did another one, and then Heyman gets up on the apron, and I was like, uh-oh, what's going on here? And then Cody awkwardly for some reason, dragged Reigns all the way over to the edge of the, like, to near the corner. Like, I don't know why you'd want to crossroads him the third time in the middle, right? But he dragged him over there for some reason. Maybe he was thinking of climbing the turnbuckle and doing a super crossroads. I don't know. But Solo turned back up. Solo Sikoa and hit a Samoan Spike, like jumped up on the apron. Samoan Spike. Then Reigns miraculously recovered from 2 crossroads to do a couple of sprints across the ring and hit a spear. And then pinned Rhodes and then started selling the 2 crossroads by staying on the floor. But that was it. That was the 3. Reigns pinned Rhodes after a Samoan Spike and a spear. And I just put, but why? My predictions for night 2 for Sunday came out at 3 out of 6, 9 out of 13 overall. Still pretty good overall. Bad second night. I only got 1 wrong on the first night. Got 50-50 on the second night for predictions. But honestly, right. Cody won the Rumble. Everyone was happy about it. People didn't turn on Cody despite the fact that Sami Zayn got so over. They still accepted Cody as the babyface here. Like, they didn't turn on the plan. They did a massive whoa. His entire family was at ringside. Look, -1. Cody's never, ever gonna be that over again. Not because anything against Cody Rhodes, just because that if that wasn't a peak, I don't know what was. That was huge. Like, that was exactly the moment. And they didn't do it. And I don't get it. And, by the way, I'm not going to talk about Raw, because then this review goes super long. But that doesn't make any more sense of it. If anything, it makes less sense of it. I was exasperated. And it's funny, because I actually had this result spoiled on Twitter. I saw a tweet that told me who won this. And they talked about how this could be probably one of the best WrestleManias of all time if it weren't for that finish. And I was like, can the result of one match affect how good an entire show is? And honestly, yeah, because it sends you away feeling a bit... We shouldn't have come away from that show feeling deflated. That show should have crescendoed on that feel-good moment. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe with hindsight in 6 months, we'll look back and be like, and I'll be like, you know what? I was wrong. That was fine, that decision, because what they've gone on to is bigger and better. But I don't get how it gets bigger and better. Not for Cody, anyway. And who beats Reigns now? If Cody, should have just done it at Mania. If not Cody, who? He's beaten everyone. Twice in most cases. I don't know. Anyway, I put that this was a great show overall. Couple of baffling decisions. I don't get Edge beating Balor. Like, if they'd have gone straight from the ladder bust open spot to a finish because he really couldn't fight on and they just wanted to finish the match, I'd have got it. It was called an audible. But no, there was more match afterwards, so he could have just won off the coup de grace, for example. He managed to hit a coup de grace. He could have just won off it. So, yeah, I'm a bit confused by that, but I'm really confused by Reigns beating Cody. So if you can make sense of that, let me know in the comments. I welcome theories. The only thing I'm thinking of now is they want to beat Bruno's record. Maybe they want to beat Hogan's record. I don't know. But maybe it doesn't matter who you put up against Reigns. Reigns is here to beat records at this point. The sale could factor into it. I did see that as a theory that, you know, they knew the sale was going through and they called an audible and wanted the reliable from the last 3 years Roman Reigns, who's proven draw, to stay at the top. But I don't know. Anyway, yeah, just felt a bit deflated at the end of that show. Let me know how you felt about the show and just what you agreed with, what you disagreed with. If you're still here at this point in the review, then thank you so much. I appreciate that. Do leave a comment to let me know. Leave a like as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. And subscribe if you're new here as well. And let me know in the comments if you think a bad booking decision can change the quality of a show. Like, not just how you perceive a show, but the actual quality of the show. Does booking factor in, or is that a separate issue from the quality of the show, which is more match quality and stuff? You know, like, let me know what your thoughts are on that in the comments below. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been EBEZA, you've been amazing, and I'll see you next time.